Hello, today we will be talking about tolerance is not the same as accepting. Here's the big deal. People say that we should tolerate others. That's a good thing. That I completely agree with. Tolerance and acceptance are two completely different things. For example,
tonight, a tale of long-lost worlds. On with the show!
This guy over here is in an alternate universe, some form of Muslim, and this guy over here, he's a pedophile in also some other alternate universe. And let's imagine that I am a racist. I just hate people of different color and skin. I can't stand it when I see a black man. It boils into my blood. So here's a racist, Muslim, and a pedophile. We may not like each other, but we don't attack each other. I don't harass them and they don't harass me. I don't attack them because they are different, and they don't attack me. But the thing, we can still hate each other as much as we damn please. He can hate my guts that I'm a racist. Maybe he likes black boys. And this guy right over here, he may hate my guts because I am friends with Jews and such. But the different thing is that some people say that you have to start accepting these other people, that we have to accept multiculturalism, etc. But let's say, even though we could have lived to some extent next to each other, let's say he's in my neighboring country, Norway, that is Muslim heavily populated, in an alternate universe, of course, and this guy lives next door to me. And this is my child. Let's call him Simon. Or Victor. I would like to call my son Victor. And this is my government. This is the system we have, that we follow, our culture, things that motivates us. And this is my religion. But certain things change. Certain aspects of our societies clash. And therefore, people also change. We have become subversed. And of course, we take in a lot of Muslims. We start to opening up our borders. And me as a racist, I won't like that. But of course, they are using politics telling us, well, you can't criticize them. You just welcome them in. We have to be tolerant, accepting. Well, because I've learned to be tolerant, I'm going to accept this. We can still be friends. I mean, we're next to each other. But this guy, it doesn't fly well with him that I'm a Christian and I'm friends with Jews. This Jewish book right over here. And he doesn't like my government. He wants Sharia law. He wants to remove that. And he wants to take my child away and convert it. So he comes to me and tells, you can't have your government. He's gonna come and kill me. Am I gonna tolerate that he's literally calling out for my destruction? The destruction of my religion. My friends. No, I'm not gonna tolerate that. I'm not gonna tolerate that for 1 second. And I have already had to put up with his kind coming in here. We have our Jewish faith and our libertarian government. We don't want to sacrifice that. And I certainly don't want my child to become indoctrinated to some other religion. I want to decide my child's future, and I don't want to see my country just fall apart because we invite people that literally calls out for destruction. So no, I'm not gonna tolerate that. And I'm sure as hell not gonna accept that. Because I won't adopt that. I don't want to accept that as my future. I don't want to accept that as the future of mankind. No, thank you. If he wants to come in, rape my child, rape my wife, and kill me, no. He wants to remove my religion, no. He wants to take away our culture, our way of life, the government we have set up, no. But then we go over to this guy. He's like, but those Muslim guys, they had a pretty good idea, so he sort of resurrects them, even though they have been dealt with before. You know, because he likes this sort of idea with child marriage and stuff, and perhaps they won't be so angry if you just act out of your passions and aggressions, right? So he sort of wants to take my child away, but no, to hell with that. I don't want some pedophile touching my child. Over my dead body, I will fight to death to protect my child. Stay away from Victor. He's really proud to be my son. But no, of course, the government is going to start to tell me, but we have to be open to others. We have to accept these values. And these guys comes and like, let's take away the churches. That's like, it's pretty bad. It's very anti-Islam. Islam tells us to be peaceful and comes with this moral relativism to stuff. They change our very perception. And as I have been tolerant to accept this, I just, perhaps I should be welcoming of these people. Maybe they aren't as bad as they were before. I mean, there's a modern time after all. We can all be friends. We can all stand next to each other. We don't have to be hateful, right? We can be accepting. I want to learn more about Islam. But as more and more of these Muslims come in, they replace our synagogues. They start to take away some of our laws. And all of a sudden, I can't worship Jewish faith anymore because we have to worship Islam. So, by religion, but I sort of want to keep it to me still. But this racism in me, this, phobic guy, it's my people. Norwegian people aren't too different. Perhaps if I was more of a tribalistic, I had the sense like, no, not a single one into our borders. We want no open trade agreements. We want no globalization whatsoever. But still, it's pretty good to trade with other countries, right? It's pretty good to have metals and minerals from China to have cell phones. We perhaps doesn't need to take in Chinese people, but we can still trade. That's a pretty good thing. And keep our balance in the country. But all of a sudden, we have this Islamic tilted system with libertarian ideas. They don't mix very well because Islam tells us clearly that there can only be Islam. It's the house of peace and everything else is the house of war. And they have the Sharia law, which overrules our own constitution, our own libertarian ideas right over here. But in secret, our libertarian government has been practicing in secret socialism. They want to just to make sure that the government is in every sector. Their family, they take my child away because I was Jewish. They're like, no, you can't have your child. It's ours now. Your child is ours. It belongs to the government. Our children can't just belong to the family. It has to belong to the society. And because you have been a hateful person and in the past, your family and your religion, your practices, we have to take your child away. You don't have the right. And of course, the Muslims, they're going to be like, but we have the same beliefs. We're more privileged still, right? Because they have gotten privileges. They have gotten into colleges where we have not been able to, even though we have been far more educated and far more skilled. But they get in because of ethnicity. But they get in because of their religion and perhaps other smaller groups like ethnicity groups, like we have some African migrants that comes in, women, like we have to promote matriarchy rather than patriarchy, Let's make an extreme for another extreme. And let's make sure that the Jewish people would pay increased tax. Yeah, three times higher tax because the Muslims doesn't need to pay any tax because they have been oppressed in previous war. And the women have always suffered from patriarchy. So all the men are going to pay additional 1% increased tax. And perhaps more as time goes on. Because, women might just need more. Oh, but who gets the money? Yeah, not women precisely. The government gets all the increased tax. And this guy doesn't need to pay tax, right? Oh, well, you see, I think the time has to come that we can't just accept anyone to take privileges. We the government work so hard, and look at what these Muslims has done to all the other old religions, etc. They are killing people in the streets. They're raping people and saying it's fun, and we have to accept it. We can't accept that. No, we have to normalize this problem. Away with religion. Religion is a bad thing. Religion is evil. Look at these children. Look how they have suffered. Away with religion. Never again. Yes, no religion whatsoever. Oh, but we homosexuals and We all others, we get to get some cookie, right? I mean, no! Everyone is part of the party. You do as we say. No one has a word. No one else. And we can decide whether we want to install chips into your bodies, whether we want to replace your arm with a metallic arm. We can decide whether we want nanites to live within your bloodstream and mutate your body. We can decide whether we want human chimera experiments. No one can decide over us. We're libertarians. We are the socialist government. You have to listen to us because your freedoms is not free. You can't criticize anyone because if you criticize anyone, especially our government, you're a hateful terrorist. You can't criticize this. No! We are the government. So, we have our government. Well, I guess I have to listen. I mean, you can always... No. Yeah, I mean, we're free, right? Because we accept the government. We accept them knowing what's best for us. I don't have to criticize. I don't have to care about anything. I mean, I think I'm happy. I mean, I grew up believing socialism is good. So, yeah, I have to double down on this. But the moral of the story is that having people censoring you, telling you what you can say, what you must believe, etc., it's generally a bad thing. And me, as a classical guy that believes in natural values and stuff like that, when globalization comes, they just ruin all of these things they're trying to defend. Like, oh, well, let's defend multiculturalism, the ethnicity, the diversity. They're just gonna bring this into identity politics, and in order for that, they will get votes and they will get into power, just like Hitler did. He invoked his socialistic agendas, told people that, well, we can't just have poor people everywhere, and we have to make the young strong and all of these things. We have to be brave and powerful or something like that. And at the same time, he used nationalism, all of these things combined, and he replaced the democracy system with a totalitarian ideology, with a Führer, eugenics, and things like, deciding who can have a child and not. That's how far totalitarians will go, and that's basically in any totalitarian ideology, because whether you're left extremist or right extremist, they are still closer to each other than the center one. And people opposing as being centered usually are an extreme right or left. It's very difficult with politicians, trust me, I know. But you can't really trust politicians. But who do you know you can trust? Well, I've come to learn through harsh life lessons, you can't trust anyone. But you can try to be open-minded. You can try to see what people make sense. But let's get to people within our universe and reality. These people right here, who I said was Muslim and a pedophile, perhaps they're not as hateful as people claim they are. Who is this mainstream media mostly portraying as a good person? Yeah, mostly the government, because the government are usually telling you, these people are bad, these people are good. And the media usually totally doubles down on that. But you can see these people get sort of discriminated, hated. The most hated man in the Great Britain, because he dares reading from the Quran and telling things like they are. He dares stating facts. But that's Islamophobic. You can't criticize a religion because of what they actually believe and follow. So, they want him gone. And they want Trump gone because he wants prosperity. He doesn't want political correctness to rule over our lives. He wants freedom of speech. But no, because this government that we have over here, they don't really want us to be free. They don't want us to be able to criticize them. And if you criticize things like Islam, you'll get into prison. And they will continuously push these laws until everything that you love and cherish is gone. You can't simply have freedom with totalitarians telling you what to do, what to think, and what to say. And tolerance is an important aspect of this. You have to be tolerant and be able to listen to other people. But if you're gonna have to accept everything anyone else has to say, that you can't criticize this other person that says, oh, well, I believe this and you have to believe it. Well, that doesn't mean you have free will, does it? That means that you have to listen to this person no matter what he says. That's not free will. But you have to use common sense. I mean, if this guy is saying literally, well, I think we have to take in 5 million African migrants and not criticize the economical factors, the social factors, even the ethnicity ones. I mean, people are so afraid of saying something that could be labeling them as a racist nowadays that it's completely illegal to have free speech. And to say that you want to preserve your ethnicity in your country, that's racist. It's racist to preserve your family. I mean, if I have a child, I would want it to look like me to some degree, right? I wouldn't want a child that looks black. I wouldn't want that. I mean, I'm not gonna be hateful towards a person with a different color of skin, but I would want to live with people that's more culturally towards my culture, towards my race. I would want that. But this is against the public opinion, so to speak. This is against their liberal war against reality. So of course, this is not going to be tolerable to anyone. So having this view that you want to be with your people and all, it has to go. But yet some other people think exactly the same, but because they're in minority groups, like the Muslims, well, you can't criticize them, can you? Even though you go into their family and how much ethnically diverse are they? Not that much differently, are they? And if you go into their ghettos, into the countries, because we are living in diverse countries, right? The suburbs to most big cities in Europe, for example, are ghettos. There's no diversity whatsoever. It's only becoming one majority in each of these cities. And every native are moving away because they're trying to get away from it. They're not trying to get involved in politics and stuff like that. They're not daring to criticize these things. And while the governments just gain more taxes and more benefits, and well, of course, the people involved in government are getting richer, but not the government, because the government is losing money. They have to take loans, and the bankers gets money, the central banks. Oh, and yeah, that's the globalists, by the way. They are the ones trying to make your country impoverished, that you have to pay more taxes to politicians like this. The politicians gladly works with the globalists to become rich and powerful. And look at most European leaders. They don't even have children. They don't care about the future of the country. They don't care about the history of the country. They don't care about the ethnicity. They don't care about the very nation. They don't even care about the nationalistic view. They turn that into some alternative facts that, well, you see, nationalism is in fact a right-wing ideology. No, nationalism can be anyone. You can be a left-wing extremist but be a nationalism, like Soviet Russia. That was nationalism. You can be some peaceful Gandhi fellow and say, well, I'm a nationalist. Because Gandhi's movement was nationalistic. George Washington was nationalistic, and he was part of this colonization and everything in America. They were trying to build their own nation, even though they were not within their tribunal home. And the people living there, of course, in these colonized areas, they were also nationalistic. They wanted to preserve their nation. They wanted to preserve their people, their tribalistic values, etc. But they did get kind of raped off their land. Some people got completely wiped off. Some got to have some small reserve, some countries or whatever, or just get mixed into the people and just lose their culture. And that's the thing with globalism. That will happen to anyone. And in the end, the only culture you will have will be of government. That is what acceptance leads to. Not tolerance, acceptance. And I think that sums pretty well up what I had to say. In the meanwhile, this is where I get off. Take licenses. They have gotten in. They have gotten. Jävla bok.